Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome C.O.D.Y. As usual, I'm your host, C.O.D.Y, and today we are continuing October 2021's theme of awesome animated Halloweenish movies. I think it's the name of it. But anyhow, so beginning of the month, we talked about Paranorman. Last week, we talked about the Box Trolls. This week, we're talking about Monster House. And then next week, we'll be talking about Hell and Back, which we'll get to that in next week. Anyhow, so Monster House. You may ask yourself, C.O.D.Y, what's Monster House? Well, I'm glad you asked, everybody. Monster House is a 2006 American computer animated supernatural comedy horror directed by Gil Kenan in his directorial debut, from the screenplay by Dan Harmon, Rob, I think it's pronounced Schrab, and Pamela Pelter, or Pettiller. I can't remember how to say her last name. Anyhow, it's pretty awesome. It's a hilarious movie. A lot of people in this one. Again, I'm not going to go over everybody that's in it. Big names. You have Steve Buscemi, Maggie Gyllenhaal, or Gyllenhaal, I don't know how to say her name in Swedish or whatever it is. Kevin James, Nick Cannon, John Heder, Jason Lee, Catherine O'Hara, Fred Willard, and of course Kathleen Turner. The main cast played by Michael Musso, Sam Lerner, and Spencer Locke. So I didn't realize who these people were. Well, I still don't know actually who some of them are, because I don't watch any of the shit that they were in. But Mitchell, I would say Michael Lerner. So Mitchell Musso was in a bunch of Disney stuff. He played, where was it at? Oliver Oaken, maybe, in Hannah Montana. You have Sam Lerner, who is in the Goldbergs television show. I don't even know if he's a main cast in it or not. I don't know. And then you have Spencer Locke. Again, I didn't know who she was, but apparently she was in Cougar Town and some other stuff. I don't know. I looked them up. I didn't recognize who they were. But anyways, that's here nor there. Steve Buscemi is amazing. Maggie Gyllenhaal's done a bunch of good shit too. There's of course Kevin James, Paul Blart himself, Nick Cannon, which unfortunately is a weirdo. Anyways, you have John Heder, of course, who plays Napoleon Dynamite. You have Jason Lee, who is famous for being a few things. One is Dave from out in the Chipmunks movies, the newer ones, not the animated ones. Well, he might have done the animated ones too, some of them, but I know he did the live action ones. He was Brody in the Kevin Smith universe, which is pretty cool. And also he played Earl in My Name is Earl, famously for several seasons on NBC, I think it was. And of course you have Catherine O'Hara, who is, wildly popular. She was in Beetlejuice. She was on... she's been in a ton of different things, but she was on the... not on Saturday Night Live. What was the one she was on? I think she's done a bunch of different things, but what was that? Second City stuff. I can't remember what. Second City Television, which has a lot of people from different things in it. But Catherine O'Hara's been in a ton of stuff. Just know she's in Beetlejuice, and that's amazing. You have Fred Willard, who of course is amazing and has been in a ton of things, like so many things that's ridiculous, the list he has. So yeah, he's pretty awesome. And then you have Kathleen Turner of many different fathoms of work, but she's got a ton of career highlights as well. I'm not going to go over all those ones anyhow. So yeah, this movie is a couple of different things. One is it's an original property, written. It's not based on anything, which is a fun fact I learned today, actually, that it is, as of 2018, is the only motion capture film to feature an entirely original story and not be based on existing source material. So that's pretty neato. And speaking of motion capture, you may ask yourself, Cody, what do you mean? I thought you said it was animated. Yes, it is. So this is the first animated film to be made using Sony's animation rendering software. So basically what they were able to do is I think you can watch this in special features. I think it's on the Blu-ray and stuff, but maybe on iTunes if you have it on iTunes. I watched it on Netflix, so I'm not too sure. Just recently. I own it on Blu-ray. I was given it by a Sony rep one time at a event at work. Anyways, so basically what they do is they film everybody in motion capture suits, and then the animation software literally digitizes it into the characterization that they chose for those characters, and which is reason I mentioned last week's episode. The reason I picked this movie when I was thinking about movies that are similar, because I wanted to watch. So I don't think I talked about it in the first episode this month, but I really wanted to watch Paranorman because of Halloween time. Just like anybody who's smart, you like to watch Halloween type movies, scary movies, things like that during Halloween season, which for some normal people is October. Other people it's July 5th. But anyways, so I was like, I really want to watch Paranorman. So I was like thinking about, I should watch is a bunch of animated Halloween-ish movies and talk about them on the podcast. So that's what I'm doing. Obviously, you're 3 weeks in if you're listening to this, or I'm 3 weeks in if you are listening to this, no matter what. Anyhow, so basically, I was thinking about different movies, and I was like, oh man, I really liked Box Trolls. That was a good one. And I was like, oh, Monster House, that's a really good one too. And of course, next week is Hell and Gone, which is or Hell and Back, a slightly different movie, and I'll go over that more next week. But the reason I started thinking about it is the animation style in this is very the characterization, not the animation. The character designs is very stop motion-y, and the way it looks is very 3D. Like almost like they're sculpted there or animated in 3D, much like Pixar does all their stuff. Sony's doing the same thing. And then I knew this before, but I did not know about the whole the only motion captured animation movie based on original material. I didn't know that fun fact. I knew about the motion capture stuff because they later used a very similar version of it for one of my other favorite movies, animated movies, C.O.D.Y with a Chance of Meatballs. And I believe I've talked about that before on here when I talked about adaptations, I think. But anyway, so blabbing on about it. Basically, they use motion capture and everything to track the movement of the character or the actors, and then animated to those motion capture stuff. So it's pretty cool the way they do that. Other fun fact is John Heater, who plays Skull, tripped over wiring and broke his ankle the first day on set. So that's fun. Other little fun facts, the movie actually takes place in 1983, and if you are any fan of, the 80s, you'll know that there's not a whole lot of technology they can use, including they had a cassette player, a Polaroid camera, and cordless phones, not wireless phones, not like cell phones, cordless phones in their house, so that's pretty cool. There's some other stuff, too. One of the cool things was the tricycle scene at the beginning of the movie is an homage to Stanley Kubrick's film rendition of Stephen King's The Shining, and if you watch it, you'll understand that. Or if you've seen both, if you've seen this and you've seen The Shining, or if you've seen The Shining and you watch this, you'll understand what I mean by it. It's pretty cool. And I looked at that. I never thought about it until I was reading cool fun facts about it, but that's pretty dope. And then one of my favorite things, which is just asinine in this, is there's a line that a character named in by the name of Chowder says. He says, "DJ, you piss in bottles." It had to be redubbed, "DJ, you pee in bottles," to maintain a PG rating. And then if you watch the movie, Chowder's lips don't match up because he's actually mouthing the original line because of the motion capture. And you can still see him saying piss instead of pee, which somehow is a different word. That's the rating boards for you. Don't get me started on that nonsense. Because somehow you can go from being PG to PG-13 if you use the word piss versus the word pee, even though you're saying this person or whatever is peeing in bottles, which is still gross. But the word piss apparently is too vulgar for a PG rating, which is asinine that a single word can be change rating from PG to PG-13, but the intent of the word and the description of what they're using the word for is the same as the fact that you're putting urine in a bottle. No matter how you say it, it's still gross, but the vulgarity of the word, apparently piss is too vulgar and pee is okay. So dumb. The rating board is so stupid. Anyhow, I can go on for hours on those idiots, but I will not. So this movie, back on topic, Cody. It's pretty cool. A lot of people behind this movie, like I said, a lot of voice actors, which I've mentioned. Some I've never actually heard of before, but well, I mean, I've heard of them because I've seen this movie, but I never really looked into them, and I still don't even know who the three main people are that play DJ, Chowder, and Jenny. But anyhow, I digress again. So the story is this: a house, monster house, is basically there's this old guy that lives there, voiced by Steve Buscemi, and he is always scaring off people. And turns out the house is alive, and it's eating things and people. And then shenanigans happens, and it happens to be on the week of Halloween, a day before, 1 day, 3 hours before trick-or-treating happens. So it happens on October 30th, which I guess I could have released this closer to Halloween, but that would have been the 27th. Too late now. Anyhow... that's it for this week's episode, actually. Not too much about it. You can watch it. It's on Netflix, so you can check it out if you have a Netflix subscription, or you can buy it if you want to watch special features or watch it in... Well, I don't think you're going to get it in higher quality. Well, might be 4K. It's a few years old, so... a few years old. It is 15 years old, because it's released in 2006. But anyways, that is it. Check it out. It's called Monster House, and it's pretty goddamn fun. And the animation's really good in it. And it's fun times, everybody. Some spooky shit in it, too. Some pretty hardcore stuff. That's what makes me laugh when they say the PG rating versus PG-13 due to the fact that the word piss is used instead of the word pee. Anyhow, that's strange to me. Okay, that's it for this week's episode of The Awesome with Cody. I have been your host, Cody. We have been talking about Monster House. And like I always say at the end of these episodes, let's be awesome.